Well, this leads nicely on from the last question, doesn't it? And it also ties in with what Austin was saying about how do you repair the problems that society's got. And the response of the audience to the question indicates just what an issue this is, and how many people are affected by it. And the situation is that there's only about a dozen or 15 hardcore alcoholic drinkers who regularly occupy St James Square. 3 of them have died in the last couple of years because of the abuse of alcohol. They gather there because they like to be there. They're not people who are homeless or have problems, by and large. And also, by and large, they're not people that want to engage with the medical services to help them with the problems that they've got. They just like being there. St James Square is a nice place to be, and they like being there for the reasons that other people would like to be there. So what can we do about it? It's been a problem for 10 years, 20 years, off and on, and it keeps reasserting itself. St James Square is an alcohol exclusion zone, which means that a constable or a PCSO can seize alcohol that is in an open container, and we do that quite regularly. In fact, every day the PCSOs go and engage with the people if they're there, seize the alcohol and move them on. And in the past we've displaced them so that okay, they've gone away from St James Square, but they pop up at the Green Bridge or at Sainsbury's or somewhere else. So we haven't solved the problem, we've just moved it about. St James Square is a particular problem though, because it is such an iconic part of town. We've had churchgoers intimidated and abused, and although we've dealt with individual cases, we haven't as yet solved it as a problem. I think over the years people gain an acceptance to it, and one of the things that I've asked to happen recently is that we the police have stepped up our efforts in terms of enforcement, because having looked at, well, what can other agencies do, medical or housing, no, because it's not an issue for them. We have nowhere else where we can ask them to go. So we've sought to do it now by an increase in enforcement. And 3 of those people are now subject of ASBOs, although one of them is pending still, but 2 of them have full ASBOs in place, and there's a 3rd one to join them shortly. And we've increased our evidence gathering in relation to a number of others, and I expect that an ASBO will have a key part to play in this. And again, it'll be interesting to see when the time comes what attitude the courts will take to a breach of an ASBO, if that's what it takes. I wish we could find another solution. I wish we could find somewhere else where they could go and gather and not cause anyone a problem. As yet we haven't found such a place. It's the sort of thing that nobody wants on their doorstep. So we're left with the fact that they like to gather where they do. They know they're not supposed to drink there, and they don't really care about it. So we will continue to enforce it, we'll continue to gather evidence and put before the court in appropriate cases to obtain ASBOs and to prosecute breaches of ASBOs.
Thank you, Dave.
It doesn't just relate to the St James Square, because as David said, all they tend to do if they're not careful is move it on. And that's what happens with lots of different crime, not just our problems of our drunks in St James Square. And I have to say, I get more and more agitated every day when you see what's going on with crime. I'm a very much a zero tolerance crime person. We should have more police out there. We should have less restrictions on them with paperwork. We have to deal with more low-level crime which they're not able to deal with. Some of those things some of those lower levels of crime would have been dealt with by parents in my day, and they're not being dealt with by the parents today. It's poor parenting. But if we don't stop it, if we don't get rid of it, it escalates to the larger types of crime which then the police are having to deal with. And so you know, to me, whatever it is, whether it's drunks in St James Square or children that are dealing anti-vandalism on cars in, well, we had a bad spate in Bradford Avenue in Cleethorpes a few nights ago, whatever it is, you know, those can't be discarded and said we don't have the ability to look at those because we've only got the amount of police that we've got to be able to deal with the higher levels. And this isn't a go. I'm actually asking and pleading that the police are given more resources, less paperwork, allow them to have the resources to deal with the lower level crime, and I think eventually, and it's not going to be easy, it's going to take a while yet, but if we could have that, I think we'd see a vast improvement in social well-being that we have in this town. So for me it's zero tolerance, and we've got to do something about it.